The road into Gallows Creek was nothing but dust and bone-dry wind. It twisted through the barren plains like a snake, curling toward the scorched little town nestled at the edge of the Colorado frontier. The sun had no mercy that day. The horizon shimmered like a mirage. No bird sang. Nothing moved, except for a woman. Her steps dragged, leaving broken prints in the powdery earth. Her dress, once pale blue, was torn at the hem and caked in road dust. Her boots, mismatched and too big, slapped against her ankles as if punishing her for walking. Her name was Clara Milburn, and she had no more tears left to cry. Only a week ago, she'd had a husband. Joseph Milburn was a blacksmith in Dry Rock, 2 towns over. He'd gone out one morning to bargain for horseshoes and hadn't come back. Found in the alley behind the tavern, knife buried in his side, pockets turned inside out. The sheriff said it was a robbery, but Clara knew better. Joseph had been sober for 3 months. He wasn't the type to invite trouble. Trouble found him anyway. Clara's landlord didn't wait long. With no husband, no income, and no child to pity her with, she was evicted by sundown. Can't feed ghosts, the landlady spat. So Clara packed what little she had and walked east. To where? She didn't know. Just away. By the second day, her canteen was empty, her shoes were blistering her skin raw, and her spirit was splitting down the middle. That's when her knees buckled on the deserted road. But she wasn't alone. Chapter 2, The Man with the Quiet Voice. The creak of saddle leather was the first thing she heard before blackness closed around her. When Clara woke, the sky was dark with indigo twilight. A campfire crackled nearby. She was lying on a bedroll that didn't smell like death, only like smoke and dust and the faintest hint of pine. "You're awake." The voice was quiet, deep, and slow as a mountain stream. She turned her head and saw him, a cowboy sitting cross-legged near the fire. His hat shaded most of his face, but his jaw was strong, and a day's worth of stubble lined it. His shirt was patched, sleeves rolled to his elbows, and one hand held a tin plate with something steaming on it. Where am I?" Clara's voice rasped. "Half a mile west of Gallows Creek," he said. "Name's Eli Hawthorne. Found you face down in the dust." He lifted the plate. "I've only got beans and jerky, but you're welcome to half." Clara's stomach growled at the scent. Her dignity paused at the edge of her lips, but it was too proud to fight hunger. She took the plate with shaking hands. Eli didn't press her. He didn't ask her name, or what she was doing out there alone. He just sipped from his tin cup and stared into the fire like it was telling secrets he needed to hear. That night, under a sky swollen with stars, Clara fell asleep to the scent of smoke and safety. Chapter 3, Gallows Creek. Gallows Creek wasn't much. A few wood-plank buildings leaning with age, a saloon called the Dusty Pike, a church with cracked bell, and a sheriff's office where the law slept more than it served. But to Clara, it was a chance to breathe. Eli helped her get settled in the room above Miss Lucinda's sewing shop. He paid the first week's rent himself, handing over the silver coin without comment. Clara refused to cry. She couldn't afford to fall apart again. Over the next few weeks, Clara mended dresses for Miss Lucinda and learned the rhythm of the town. It was a hard place, but not cruel. Children ran barefoot past a mercantile. Old men swapped lies outside the saloon. And every few days, Eli showed up, always quiet, always kind. He fixed Miss Lucinda's front steps. He carried sacks of flour for the pastor's wife. He never stayed long. But every time Clara saw his broad shoulders disappear down the street, something in her chest ached. Not out of pain, but out of something she hadn't dared to feel since Joseph died. Hope. Chapter 4, The Outlaw's Past. One late afternoon, Clara sat on the porch mending a shirt when she heard horses, fast and loud. 3 men thundered into town, dust flying behind them like storm clouds. Guns on their hips, wild eyes searching. Miss Lucinda whispered, "That's Boone Merrow and his boys." Clara's blood chilled. Boone was wanted in 3 counties for robbery and worse. She knew the type, men who smile while they burn things down. She grabbed her needle with white knuckles and waited. Then Eli stepped into the road. He didn't reach for his gun. He didn't flinch. He stood in the center of the street as if the whole town hung on his silence. Boone laughed. "Well, I'll be damned. Eli Hawthorne, I figured you were dead or hiding in a canyon somewhere." "I'm alive," Eli said. "You ain't welcome here, Boone." Boone's grin sharpened. "This town ain't yours to say." "It is now." Clara watched as Boone spat in the dirt and wheeled his horse around. "Next time we meet, it won't be words, Eli." Eli tipped his hat. "I'll be ready." When it was over, Clara asked Miss Lucinda, "What was that about?" Lucinda's voice lowered. "Eli used to ride with Boone. Years ago. Said he quit after a bank job left 2 children orphaned. Sheriff never did trust him again." Clara's heart twisted. Redemption was a hard road. She'd walked it herself. That night, when Eli came to check on her, she opened the door before he could knock. Chapter 5, Love on the Edge. "I know what they say about you," Clara said, "and I don't care." Eli's jaw tightened. "You should. You left that life. You saved mine. You gave up your food, your time, your silver. You have a good heart, Eli Hawthorne. I've seen it." His shoulders sagged. "I ain't perfect, Clara. I've done things I regret. Got blood on my hands." She stepped forward and laid a hand over his. "So do I." That was a moment the wall between them cracked, letting in something fierce and fragile all at once. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but the promise of one hung between them like a spark waiting for breath. Chapter 6, Fire and Forgiveness. Boone came back under the cover of dusk. With torches and gunpowder, he set fire to the mercantile and shot the sheriff in the leg. Townsfolk scattered. Panic reigned. Eli was the first to draw. The gunfight was fast and brutal. Clara ducked behind the water trough, praying he'd survive. Eli shot one of Boone's men, then took a bullet in the shoulder. He dropped to one knee, but didn't stop. With a growl, he fired again. Boone fell with a scream. By the time the smoke cleared, Eli was bleeding, barely conscious. Clara rushed to his side. "You stubborn fool," she cried, pressing her scarf to his wound. He grinned through the pain. "You're the first person to say that and still mean it kind." Chapter 7. Home at last. Weeks passed. Eli recovered slowly in the back room of Miss Lucinda's shop. Clara nursed him every day, brushing sweat from his brow, reading to him in the evenings, scolding him when he tried to stand too soon. He called her his firecracker. She called him her mule. When spring came, Gallows Creek honored Eli with a small badge and a title, deputy. The sheriff retired shortly after, but it wasn't the title that mattered. One morning, Eli stood on the porch, his arm still wrapped in a sling. Clara stood beside him, hands clasped. "I never thought I'd have this," he said. "What?" "A home, a woman like you, a second chance." Clara smiled. "Funny, I never thought I'd find a man willing to share his only meal with a broken widow." He turned to her. "I'd share everything I've got, Clara, for as long as I breathe.